How's it going, guys? So in today's tutorial, I'm going to be breaking down this really popular sort of still life abstract design that really works well for things like advertising. These simple set designs that you see a lot on the internet, and they're starting to be really shown in a lot of advertising. So I'm going to be breaking it down for you guys, as well as giving you guys a pack of models that'll really help you kickstart some ideas in making this type of design. Before we get into that, I do want to shout out, I just released a new exclusive tutorial on the Patreon on how to get this really cool refracting glass effect. I focused on the lighting setup for this, so it's a really fun lighting tutorial, and I also give you the material to get this really cool refraction glass. If you don't know about the Patreon, on all 3 tiers you get 10 procedural materials a month. A lot of cool stuff going on there. You also get several exclusive tutorials a month, as well as project files from a lot of my studies and projects. You get a couple of those a month as well, along with on tier 3, I show you my client work in the process and some really cool stuff happening there this month. So if you want to check all that out, that's in the description. Let's get on with the rest of this tutorial. But so first, I'm going to explain sort of these designs and 3 of my favorite people who do them. The number 1 would be Peter Tarka. He's incredible. I'll be linking all these Instagram accounts in the description, but his stuff is really amazing, and you could just look at it for hours. One thing I want to note is his ability to show sort of things that are off balance, but they're still sort of working. Like right here, this off balance type of style is really interesting. Another thing is some of them are very random, but other ones are very thematic. For this one is like a home office or interior where we have come these cups, shelves, a clock, a guy. We got a couch right here. So they're really interesting. So you can go very abstract or very thematic. Like this is an entire house put on like a rectangle. So it's really, really cool, really interesting stuff. Another thing is his use of materials, of common materials and more of these soft materials. So the soft materials would be these materials right here on the paint, on the cups, but then you have the common ones like this sort of cement material and this metallic material. So when you mix those, it makes a really nice contrast. And then of course we have this nice soft lighting. All of this stuff I'll be breaking down and showing you guys. So this, I would really highly recommend studying Peter Tarka's work. Another thing he does is sort of having the small objects in the front, taller ones in the back, giving that sort of scale, but having a good contrast of the mix in between them, and again, a really nice color palette and some soft lighting. So another artist, this guy right here, I'll be linking his work in the description. He's very similar to Peter Tarka, but his materials are nothing like Peter's. The only thing that they're similar is them being soft. But as you can see, he has this texture. He uses shades and tints of different colors within those objects, and I'll be breaking down this material style as well. So you have these common objects, but you have this really cool use of texture and using color within those textures, like a Musgrave or a Voronoi and things like that. And it's really, really cool. And then the other one, and another artist is Ronaldo Barry, and he uses a lot of common materials, a lot of wood, metallic. So I won't be really breaking down how he does his work, but he is a really good kind of honorable mention. Some really interesting setups here. As you can see, a really cool wall cement material. We got some really cool rocks, just simple still life work that really makes a difference and really goes a long way in making some very, very interesting setups. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up some modeling techniques that really all of these guys have in common, as well as showing you the model pack and using the model pack to make a material, a scene. So let's hop open over to Blender here, and I'm going to show you. So one of the main things that all of them do, every single one of them, is beveling. You have to bevel everything. If you're working on an object and it can't bevel, it's not going to really work, because a lot of this stuff works with soft lighting. So the modeling should also be soft. So of course, using the bevel modifier, putting the limit method on angle, and then playing with this offset, playing with the segments, give it like 5 segments, shade smooth, you have this. So another thing Peter Tarka does, and a lot of them do, is just this kind of odd modeling, and what it does is it makes these scenes very interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bevel this just right here using the bevel tool here, and then I'll give it a bunch of segments, and we already have a nice beveled surface. But one thing that he does a lot is I'll redo it here and bring it all the way to the end, give it some segments here. We can go to the custom profile and we can really get some crazy stuff. So we'll go to the presets, say we'll do some steps. Now we have some steps. This one's not really working that well, but we have some other ones like crown molding. Now we have this crazy crown molding that you can add into your scene and do some crazy stuff happening there. But the key thing is always bevel. You should always do your beveling. So All right, now let's open up the pack. It's called the Soft Model Pack. So you'll go to Append. I'm going to go where I saved it. So it looks like right here. Go to Object. And then just click all of them, and I'm going to move them over. So when I made this pack, the idea was to get some very interesting, different kind of modeling. And the reason I'm giving this to you to cut out some of that work and just get straight into designing some interesting setups. So I'm going to show you how to use this pack, and we're going to make some interesting stuff. So first off, we're going to get a plane. I'm going to hit S5, and then I'm going to get that infinite background that everyone likes. So I'm going to Tab, click this, hit E, Z, bring it up, just like that. And then if we add in the bevel modifier, we'll be able to bevel this and make an infinite background, just like that. And so now let's start placing our objects. I do want to make this bigger, and then I'm going to start off. So I'm going to start off, and I'm going to get a simple cylinder here on the ground. So I'm going to bring this guy, Shift D, and duplicate it over and put it right here. I'm going to go right in the middle. So if we use these, and then I'll just scale it up like this, and then bring it up, and now we have this. If you Control A, apply scale, it updates that bevel and the solidify. So we can just bring it down till it touches the ground. So now we have this. I'm going to go to the front view and add in my camera very quickly. One thing about the camera, I like to keep it at an 85 millimeter. So if you're in the camera, click on the green, go 85 millimeter. And then I'm gonna bring it out. 85 millimeter keeps a very flat look to your camera, so there's no warping or bowing within the actual lens of the camera. So I'm gonna just bring it up a little bit, and let's start placing some objects. So I'm going to take, like I said, you want to play with balance. You want to play with some weird stuff going on. So I'm going to try to make a stack of things and have some weird stuff balancing on the top. So I'm going to take this guy, I'm going to duplicate him over here, go back into my camera view and scale him down a little bit. I want him to be at the back of this plate. So we're going to put this here and then scale it up a little bit. So now we have this first object. I want to add, now I want to get this little bottle here. So I'm going to bring him into the scene like so. As you can see, while I'm designing, I'm keeping things very tight, very close together, and that's what you want to do. At least for my goal on this design is keep everything tight, keep everything close, makes it a really nice looking image. I'm going to pull on over just a simple cylinder here because you do want to have some simple modeling, some simple geometry going on within these scenes. So now I have these guys. What I want to do is take this and make it really, really small. Super thin like this, and then we'll just use the scale tool and scale them up. And what I'm going to do is play with some balance ideas here. All right, so now this guy is balancing on this section, but I want something to go here. So that would just be a simple sphere. So we'll just go get an icosphere. We will subdivide him pretty quick and then bring him up. I'll go to the very top and place him right in the middle of where I want him. So right there is perfect. And then I'll bring it up right in the middle and then scale it down. So we are playing with things balancing and interacting with each other within a really nice tight design. So now this is happening here. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab this piece right here, sort of the half circle, and bring him right where I want him. So right over here in this general vicinity. And then we'll pick him up here on this beam, maybe put it more like this, and then bring it down. And then I want to have another sphere just to have some more fun. Put him right on top. This guy is a little bit weird, kind of like that. And then he's still balancing there. And then we have our sphere, which I'm going to make significantly smaller. And then we're going to put him right there. So now we have this circle balancing on this thing, sort of keeping him balanced there and keeping this rod in place here. And then I want to get one more sphere and put him at the end right there, just making sure he's on the rod, which he's not. So now we have all this fun stuff going on. So we have a really fun amount of balancing happening. And then just to keep things tight, we're going to put that there. I'm going to bring the bottle right under this situation here, so just like that. So I want this sphere to be right under the bottle and the bar Again, maintaining that really nice tight design that I'm trying to go for. I want now I want to have some small stuff happening over here like Peter Tarka does quite often. So I'm actually just going to take these two guys here and then duplicate them and bring them over to be sort of these small little pieces to be happening within the front part of the design. So just to have some play, and I want him to be kind of over here in this region. So that looks really cool. And then I'm going to get this guy, duplicate it, make it a lot smaller, and then make him a bit taller. Actually make it a little bit skinnier than that, and then a bit taller. And then I'm going to take this weird little thing, duplicate it, and then I'm going to bring him right over here. And I want to bring this little piece forward, right in this vicinity. And then this is far too big. Just getting weird stuff, weird ideas, weird designs as we're playing around and making stuff. I'm going to take this here, duplicate him, bring him over here, kind of this general area. Again, keeping this hierarchy in mind, not making things get lost, blocked, different stuff like that. And this is looking really nice. I'm going to bring it a little bit forward, kind of like this. And then I'm going to get a sphere and put him right on top of this guy. And then we're just going to scale it down, bring it here. How's that looking? So I want to bring these guys over a bit, actually quite a bit smaller, so they're not actually interacting with this guy. So bring it up, and that looks just about perfect. So we're already getting a really, really cool design. And as I'm talking, I hope you're understanding sort of my thought process within making this look really interesting. I'm going to take these guys and I'm going to rotate a little bit so we get this line. Just a really interesting line to sort of curve in that direction, if you see what I'm talking about, this line right here where it bevels. I want to get another bottle to interact with this design, so I'm going to take this big vase here and bring him over. So top, bring it like this, and then have that. We're getting some really interesting, cool things going on. A lot of the design here is the idea of keeping your eyes interested in like, oh, what's going on, what's happening within this whole design. Now we have all this fun stuff happening. I want something to happen mid-height right around there. So I'm going to go look in my pack and see what can work, what looks cool within. So that would be this nice little small cup that I designed. These cups are part of a larger cup pack, vase pack that I made for an older tutorial where I taught how to make these vases. So that is in the channel if you go look that up. And so we'll place him right about there. So now we have a really interesting stack of things going on. I'm going to bring this over here. All right, so now that we have this nice setup, I'm going to save my file here and just call it stage. And then let's go ahead and start lighting this. So how do we do lighting? First off, I like to use cycles for these, being that it's soft stuff. It's really not that lighting intensive. So we're going to use an area light, bring it up pretty far here, scale them up, and then bring the brightness, of course, nice and high. A couple of these models have materials, but we will be, let's just get rid of those. Don't want the models to be affecting the way this looks. Okay, so now we have this light going on here. One of my favorite lighting setups. Actually, I'm going to scale this up more, bring it higher up, and I think I'll need to bring up the brightness some more. So now we have this going on, which actually looks pretty cool, but we want to get some more soft stuff going on. So I'm going to bring another light right over here, and then if you hit R twice, you can get the light to move in that way. Hit G, bring it back, hit R twice again. So now we have another light hitting it this direction, and this one will be a bit brighter. And then one more thing I like to do is to have a really bright light to be hitting it right at the side. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to duplicate this guy, bring it pretty far away, bring it down. I'm going to go to the front view and hit R to get him to point like that. And then we'll just make the brightness really, really high. So we'll go with like 500. And so now we have a really cool scene going on here that we can start to add some textures to it. So like I had stated, adobe.color.com is one of my favorite places to go. So I will be linking that in the description. So just go to explore, and then I like to go from all sources. So I'd like to go click on all sources, color themes and most popular. Usually gets me some good stuff, and we're going to go ahead and tackle this color theme right here. So for the background, I always choose the darkest color. So we'll do that. So the trick for this website is all you have to do is click on the color you want. It'll copy the hex code, make a new material, click on hex, paste it in there. Now we have a nice background. Another thing that's going to happen is as we add these materials, the lights will need to be brighter because we were just lighting white models. And then let's go ahead and pick like this pink, and we'll choose him, click new, click on the color here, click hex, just paste that in there. Let's go ahead and get this nice blue, and then we'll make him that blue, click on the color, pasting that hex in there, and then we'll get this this sort of peach. We'll put that there right now. And as we're placing these, we'll get this last sort of color here, and we'll pick this guy. And so what's nice about this is now we have all the colors we need for this scene, and then you can go in and start applying materials. So pick the ones you want to be like this color. So I'm going to pick this guy, holding shift. So I'm going to hit this guy, hold shift, this guy, and then click on the last one, which is the color you want it to be. Control L, apply materials, and it applies that material to them. And I want this guy, and this guy, and this guy to be that blue. Control L, apply the material, just like that. And then I want this, this, and this to be this sort of peachy looking thing. Materials, and then we'll make all these guys that sort of pink. And we're going in and adding things, and we'll make the bottom that kind of peach as well. So now we have this, and then these last two ones, I want to make them a metallic material. So we got this metal, and then we'll just do that. Control L, apply material. So now we have a little metal thing. Actually, let's make this guy metallic as well, just for the heck of it. So now we have some fun stuff going on. Again, let's go back to these lights here and really get some improvements. So we'll go to 300 on the top light. On this one, we'll go with 500. And then on this light, we'll go with 1,000. And so now we have a really nice scene. And I'm just going to click on my camera here and bring it in a little bit. And then now we've created a really nice abstract scene. All right, so the last thing I'm going to show you is this guy's shading style right here. I'm going to give you the concept. So let's click this vase right here. We'll go here to shading. And then we're using the Eevee preview. So now we have this base color. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click it and copy the hex, and I'm going to get a color ramp. Plug this here, plug the color ramp into there, get this white, and paste the hex in there, and then get here and paste that same hex of the color. And then you'll take the slider and bring it down, and then bring that over, and you'll take this slider here, bring this back, take the slider, bring it down a little bit. So now we have these three shades of this color. I'm going to go ahead and get the noise texture. I'm going to hit Control T if you have the Node Wrangler add-on enabled. We'll get the object coordinate factor in there. And then, so now we have some stuff going on. We're going to go from linear to constant to get that nice hard edge to go on. And then we'll bring it in just like this. And we'll bring the scale up. So now you can see how he kind of does these types of things. And say instead of this dark color, let's go ahead and pick more on the blue side of things, and we have this going on. So now you can do that with all of your objects, and then you can bring the scale up pretty far. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and add that to all of these objects, playing with the color, and I'll show you how the end result looks. And here you go. This is the final result of doing this. It's not my favorite, but if I work on it, improve the color, and make sure everything kind of is harmonizing together, it actually would be a really cool concept and a really cool design to go with. So that's how you make this stuff. If you want to see all these textures I made, I'm going to be providing this project file in the description for everyone to use. So there you go. That's how you do this stuff. And on the rendering, you really don't need to keep your sample count really high. I'm gonna keep it at the default 128. I'm gonna actually go in and use the denoising data because these models are so soft, it'll actually complement the denoising, because denoising is always super, super soft. So let's go over here to compositing. I'm gonna click use nodes, shift and get a viewer node. And then we're gonna bring this here. We're gonna get a denoise right here. And then right here, a noisy image. Plug that into the image, plug this into the normal, and plug the albedo into the albedo. And just to make sure this actually works on the final export, take the image and plug it into the composite. So now we have this set up. We'll go ahead and just render this guy. And I'm gonna go and I'm gonna render the image. So he's just rendering out really quickly, and you can see it's pretty noiseless outside of some noise within here. And then once it finishes, we'll see the denoising happen really quickly. And once that happens, denoised, perfect image. We can work on some lighting in the Photoshop, really bring out those highlights and the shadows, and this is the final image. So that's how you make these really cool abstract things. I really highly recommend going in and playing with different color palettes. Don't stick with one. Once you're finished, you can actually go and swap out all the colors with new things, new designs, so you can create completely new, really rich ideas. So there you go. That's how you do this. Thank you for watching, and yeah, and be sure to get that model pack. That's for free on Gumroad. Thank you for watching.